these are constant issues that we face, or that we encounter, or that we talk about, right? We want something that's captivating. We want something that's interesting. Our resumes, unless you have more than 10 years working, need to be one page. You need everything on one page. In the American context, we usually almost always say no, don't do a photo. Now, there are certain circumstances where your photo might be a selling point. For example, if you are an actor or an actress, if you have a profile that requires that. Sure, depends the area that you're applying to. But generally, we don't put on photos, we don't put on marital status, we don't put on birthdays. We don't put on gender. We take all those off. Therefore, you can't eliminate a resume based on blanket criteria. Because again, you're gonna put this to a word processor over here. You're gonna have a computer check most of these. Obviously, it's very easy to discriminate people that put their birthdays on resumes. Birthday, anything over 1985, reject automatically. And they'll block everything out. Nothing over 85 will be included. So you can put a birthday range on a computer that goes between 1993 and 1985. That's where I want to hire somebody. That excludes tons of candidates. Same thing with the picture. It's very easy to discriminate against individuals based on a picture. As employers typically have a mental image of who they want to hire. And by focusing only on the visual side of things, they reject all the other aspects of the candidate. We want the aspects of the candidate to stand out for what they do. These are typical things that you'll see on American resumes: no photos, no marital status, no birthdays, no gender. Now, the other question we frequently come into are color and creative layouts. We saw a really terrible example of that with the Hugo Dam. And we saw a really underwhelming resume, which is the second one over here. There's two things we need to think about when it comes to colors and layouts, because you can look online and you can find a million templates. There are thousands of resume templates. Google resume templates and you will find hundreds of options. And it's overwhelming. You don't know which one to choose. Do I do 2 columns? Do I do 1 column? Do I do 2 columns with 1 picture in the middle, but then the top is over here? My answer to that is always, it depends on the job that you're applying for. That's the biggest definition right here, right? If you're a graphic artist, well, you want to be more creative. If you're working within the arts, if you're working with theater, if you're working within drama, if you're working within even IT, a very strongly creative element within that, or you're planning to work in a video game design, absolutely, then be creative with your colors. But everyone needs one boring, uncolored, black and white resume. Everyone needs that. Everybody needs the top to bottom, black, white, focusing on content resume. Once you have that, then you can pull and play with what you want to over here. You need that for 2 reasons. One, you need a basic template to get started with. And secondly, you need something that computers can read when you apply online. So if you're applying to a job through Career Builder over here, your resume is going to go through a computer first. You don't want that computer to have any problems reading your resume. What's the easiest thing for a computer to read? Something that looks like an HTML file. Because there is no color, there's no graphics, no van a chocar con ningún parte de estructura. Entonces pueden leer el resume totalmente. The resume que entregas, that you bring to the interview, that can be a little bit different. I personally will always go on the conservative side when it comes to this area. I am always a strictly conservative individual when it comes to my resume regarding color and creative layouts. And that's honestly because I've seen so many examples of this done terribly. I've seen a lot of bad examples because there's a lot of other components we're going to work with, and we're going to see that later. So that is me on creative elements. Next thing over here, and this is extremely important, but highly undervalued, or you organize the resume based on where your eyes fall. So you can find a design that's really, really cool, right? It starts over here and it makes a spider web out, right? Or you have the 2 different columns over here and you have multiple columns. The fact is your interviewer will read based on where their eyes fall. Top to bottom, left to right, make it smooth. The most important part of your resume will always be the top left. The top left or the top right in the center. Anytime I have to return for information, it will slow me down. All right, we got one page, maybe two. We have to assume that on the last page over here, maybe 25%, maybe 10% of that will be read.